All right, we are right on track here. Our last speaker tonight is going to be Mr. Dwayne Stovall, candidate for Senate, U.S. Senate.
Thank you. Wow. I'm running for U.S. Senate, but I'm here to talk to you about Texas because I'm going to change everybody's viewpoint of that position, I hope, tonight. My name is Dwayne Stovall. I'm running for United States Senate from the great state of Texas. I'm from this area. Anybody that knows where New London is, I graduated from West Rush High School with my wife. We now live down in Liberty County, just outside of Cleveland, Texas. We've got a couple of businesses. I've got 3 children. I'm on the school board. I'm just a average Texan. There's nothing special about me. I don't have a resume of being experienced in politics or policy. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I'm a dad. Like I said, a school board member. I'm the vice president of the Liberty County Toll Road Authority. What I can tell you is that I am compelled to run for this position because the United States Senate position has been the most misused and abused position in the history of this country. And there's a reason for it. Anybody in here understand what the proper role and authorities are of a United States Senator? There's only 2. Advise and consent. That's right. They're not supposed to create revenue. Now, Obamacare is another story. We can talk about that later. But they're not supposed to create revenue. Really, they're there, and they have longer terms because they're supposed to take more deliberative viewpoints of what's coming out of the House. They're supposed to be protecting the rights of their state. They're supposed to be protecting Texas. It starts and stops there. When you go to vote for these candidates that are running for these state offices, I want everybody to look at that U.S. Senate role as an extra legislator from Texas. Because I can tell you, in a very realistic way, they are ambassadors to the federal government from their state legislatures. Everybody understands the 17th Amendment? 1913 took the state sovereignty away. That's what it did. It took states' rights away from their original design of being able to appoint their U.S. senators. The original intent of that was, as people like Roger Sherman and George Mason back in Philadelphia when they were creating this, was to say that if you're going to create this new government, which by the way was supposed to be limited, right? Yeah. If you're going to create this new government, it's going to have these 3 branches, and they're going to have these checks and balances built in. Then the states, who are the more powerful, they have the expansive power at the states. They were supposed to have a check themselves. They should have. So the Senate was specifically designed to be what George Mason called the mechanism of self-defense for the states. If that new government were to start behaving tyrannically or unconstitutionally, they would have a way to throw a wrench in the program. Well, in 1913, when they passed the 17th Amendment, they did away with that. And it did many, many things to us a lot of people don't think about. I'm a big proponent of federalism. If you hear these men talking about the 10th Amendment and states' rights, federalism is the basis of that. It was one of 3 principles that the Constitution was created under. It was founded on 3 principles that you better learn and you better teach your children, you better teach everybody around you. Federalism, republicanism, and limited government. Limited government is the easy one. That's your liberty. What was said earlier about as governments grow, there's a simple formula in history, and that is the more government you have, the less freedom you have. It never changes. There's never been a government in history of mankind that ever got so large that everyone was just so free. It doesn't work that way. The larger they get, the more oppressed the people get. That's the easy one. Republicanism is an easy one as well. That's the one that says we're all going to be represented by those we elect. And the way they expanded on that was they wanted you to be represented by those you elected most closely to you. If you look in the Constitution, you'll find the original. Anybody read the Constitution and saw the 30,000 to 1 ratio? 30,000 citizens to the representative? Okay, the original context, or the original design of that was that in a community of 30,000, there was a high likelihood that you would either know the person you were voting on, or you would know someone that knew the person you were voting on, and you would have some kind of context of their character. Today, we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 720,000 citizens to the representative. Very very few people know their representative personally or have context of their character. So republicanism is an issue as well. Federalism is the primary driver of our problems today. The lack of. That principle is that the states hold all the expansive powers. What we were gifted was a republic. That republic was based in federalism, where the states were going to be what the Declaration meant. They didn't lie. They said free and independent states. What we have today, and we can argue this if you want, but you will lose, that republic based in federalism that we were gifted no longer exists. What we have today is a nation, capital N, based in socialism. That's who we are. Make no mistake about it. We can hold up our constitutions, we can quote Jefferson, we can say we're a republic, and you will be lying to yourself. This position is key to fighting back that federal overreach. This position has to be stood on principles. You have to understand the dynamic that the framers gifted us with if you want to remain free. What we are doing today is we are nationalizing everything. We're Texans, right? There's 26 million of us today. It's amazing how many Texans there are today. If we were to break Texas off by population, we'd be the 45th largest country in the world. I think out of 26 million people, we can manage the affairs of Texas pretty well. Wouldn't you think? Is there a decision that 26 million of us cannot make that we absolutely need a bureaucrat 1,000 miles away to make a decision for us? No. But what we have is we have a long history, and it's not just in Texas, it's all 50 states. We have a long history of United States senators up until Ted Cruz. Thank goodness for Ted Cruz. Who generally voted to raise the debt, grow the federal government, take an unconstitutional overreach of power at the expense of who? The states. What's their primary job? To look after the best interests of their states. Well, that's what we have today. If you were to elect me and I were to spend 2 terms generally voting with the Democrats to raise the debt ceiling, enslaving ourselves, our children, future generations of Texans yet to be born in chains of debt, would you re-elect me? Absolutely not. Well, I can tell you right now, you better start talking to your friends and your neighbors, because that's what we have. That's what we have. That's where we're at. I'm compelled to do this. I started running, a lot of y'all haven't seen me before. About 10 months ago. I've actually spoken to about 10,000 people. I'll tell you a little bit about my campaign, and you won't know this because there's no media attention, because the media dodges me like a bullet. I actually have Tea Party endorsements. Kaufman, Pearland. The Tea Parties that are legally set up where they can't formally endorse, the presidents are endorsing me. I have an endorsement website called All for Stovall. If y'all want to write that down, you can go to it. And it was something that we came up with because everybody says, oh, well, they got the endorsement of this fund or that PAC, or it's just these big overblown names. And or it's a celebrity. It's a big, And I got to thinking, there's an endorsement every time somebody goes to the local grocery store and they're talking across the counter and they say, I like so-and-so, he's a really good man, or she's a really good woman, I trust her. That's an endorsement. How do you validate those? Because you get those all the time. We give those to each other. So we started a website called All for Stovall just a few days ago. And it's a way you can go on there, and if you like what I stand for and you understand that I'm just a citizen statesman, I am not a politician. I come to you with no political alliances whatsoever. You like that, huh? I have Jeffersonian principles. Tell somebody that one. I'm a terrorist. I understand the Constitution as it was written and amended. That really puts me on the list. But if you go there, it's been populating with more and more people every day. There's hundreds and hundreds of people on there. That we're shooting for 3,000 before the end of the month. And it's just been really neat that people can go validate themselves and publicly say, we want smaller government, we want our state to take its rights back. We want to be able to stand on principle. And that's the whole purpose of this position. You're not doing anything else. You only have 3 hurdles to cross. When you go to vote on something, does it meet the criteria of the federal Constitution? If it does it meet the criteria of the state of Texas Constitution? And if it passes that, what are the long-term effects to the state of Texas? If it benefits 49 other states and it hurts this state, sorry, it's a no. If it is unconstitutional, it's unconstitutional. How is it? Is there anybody else in this room that's upset that no one ever brings up the fact that Obamacare is unconstitutional anymore? The Republican Party, of which I've been a lifetime Republican. I'm a little R Republican. I actually understand small government. But they don't even talk in terms of the fact that there's no authority in the Constitution that says we're going to force you to buy a good or service. And there's definitely not one in the Constitution that tells you we're going to force you to provide a good or service at a price we set. Right? But what do? Our Republican representatives speak in terms of repeal it and replace it. We'll put our own socialist light in there. No. The states have the right to regulate health care in a manner they see fit. That's it. You can't talk replacement. We're not looking forward to a day where we can all call each other comrade and bless communism. There's 316 million people in the United States today. In a very literal sense, we are managed by 546 elite individuals in a town far, far away. And I always throw that in because you better get the historical relevance of that. Because 237 years ago, it didn't work out so well for those folks. This is very serious. I mean, I'm smiling, and a lot of times you'll see me, I've got a grin on my face, but a lot of times it's because I'm hiding the fact that I'm really mad. I'm just mad. I love this state. I have 3 children. My wife and I have been married 22 years. I would do anything for them. This is it. If you've ever wanted to see what a citizen statesman looked like, you didn't know he would be bald, did you? There's more of us. Everyone in this room. We all qualify. I had somebody ask me the other day, well, what qualifies you to be a U.S. Senator? Well, I said, other than the basics that I'm over 35 and I'm a citizen of Texas and, those constitutional basics, I do know that if we all don't go to the end of Guam and stand, it won't flip over. Did y'all all get that one? And he got reelected. He got reelected. I know that you need to find out what's in a bill before you pass it. Some of those basic things. And you know what? All those statements, then there's lots of them. I can go over tons of them. There's one in particular that said he stopped the head of the Department of Energy and wanted him to explain to him exactly how did oil and gas get up to the Arctic and under the tundra. And the man, and he was a Republican and he was from Texas, but I'm not going to tell you who he was. It's very serious. We're in dire times. The basis of federalism is huge. The fact that the states should return and restore their own power is huge. We've got to have that discourse.